Yeah.
All right. What's up, guys? Hey, thanks for joining us. Little delay, but as you can see right here, we're going to be talking about this tattoo with our tattoo highlight of the week, and we also have a special guest today. So I'm excited to introduce her, and we'll talk about that later. And we're going to be talking about nutrition today because majority of the viewers are Polynesian. So it's going to be a lot of good information, and we will break down the tattoo later too, and we'll talk to you. We'll see you guys in a bit. Hey, welcome to TATtalk, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Sorry we're running a little late, but anyways, we have a special guest today. My name is Josh. I'm the host. We're here with James.
What's up, everybody?
Co-host.
What's up? What's up?
How you been, James?
Been good, man.
Good.
It's good to be back for the time for today.
Yeah, so remember, guys, this is a live show where we can engage with you guys because we want you guys to ask questions and comment on the topic today. I want to introduce our special guest, and let me see. Okay, so she is a nationally recognized authority in nutrition. Her work focuses on metabolism, muscle and body composition optimization. She has a practice out of New York City with many celebrity clients, including Will Power, Indy 500, NASCAR champion.
Indy 500.
Is that it?
Yep, not NASCAR.
Okay, see, but still, wow. Okay, and then she was also a national semifinalist in Fitness America, a professional fitness model, and a national ranked figure competitor. So, welcome to the show,
Hi.
Dr. Gabrielle Lyon.
Welcome.
Is it Lyon?
Lion, yeah.
Lyon, okay, sorry.
Gabrielle.
Dr. Gabrielle
Yeah.
Lyon. Yeah, welcome to the show. Thank you for joining us. You're very busy, so it's great to have you come on the show. And, I was going through topics because you are really into fitness and nutrition. You're a doctor and you're sought after. So I know that a lot of our viewers are Polynesian. And when I looked it up, there's an article. It's a kind of older article. There's an article, CNN.com, May of 2015. It says how obesity became the fattest place on earth. Wow. That's crazy. But so they pretty much say that 9 out of the 10 top countries that are obese or whatever is all Polynesia.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
So it's a big problem. And we were kind of talking about the diet and everything, and there's like taro is big.
Yeah.
Right? And
Poi, everyone knows, who's listening knows what that is. Poi and
right.
bananas, pineapples, all the local Polynesian food, which actually is not the problem. So the problem, first of all, Samoans have the #1 diabetes and obesity rate in the world.
Wow.
Samoans in Samoa or Samoans in the United States?
That's
or Samoans in general?
In general.
Okay.
And actually, Josh and I were just kind of chatting about this prior. 1 out of 3 either has obesity or diabetes.
Oh, yeah, and that's high. Dang.
I kind of have
30%.
We can get into it later.
Yeah.
We'll get into it later. But I have a thing about that. The obesity, like the way they categorize it, because
As
it's based
far
off
as what?
It's based off of BMI, right?
But I think
And that's a little. I feel that's a little.
It is, but I think that if you were to take a step back, and when BMI becomes a problem is when you're really dealing with athletes. It's those with high levels of muscle mass.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the general population, that's not an issue. I think that BMI, we kind of know it's old school and it really should be % body fat.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue with the BMI is definitely when it comes to people with high levels of muscle mass.
Okay. Yeah.
And you could look at someone and say, that is a level of obesity that is
Right. Like if The Rock did the BMI test, right? His height.
But look at The Rock.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, it's gonna say he's obese.
Right.
But he's really not,
right.
obviously.
But that is 1 in rock. I'm sorry, but I mean that's not common.
Right, and that's why. And
it's not the majority of what they're basing it all on.
Like under this sweater, I'm probably like the Rock,
You're
so that's why it's like I'm just shredded to the gills.
Yeah.
What was interesting about what we had pulled up some of these statistics, and what was interesting is that it wasn't just obesity. And if you're defining, which you make up a really good point, that you're defining it based on BMI, but they were also utilizing one of the comorbidities that go with that, and that's diabetes.
Okay.
And there's no way around that.
Yeah,
you either
Yep.
have it or you don't. It's kind of like being pregnant. It's either a yes or a no.
Been there before.
That's amazing. So Samoans have the highest rate of obesity, but it's interesting because they grow most of their own foods. So your listeners in Polynesia or Fiji,
right?
It's thought that they grow their own food. That's not where the problem comes in.
But so where's the problem? Because it's not the taro and the fish and all that.
I think that's less of a problem, although taro is really high nutrient dense, right? So it's highly caloric. They're bringing in fried chicken, frozen foods, spam.
Okay. Yes.
And these high-fat, high-processed foods probably wouldn't be that much of a problem if they were being super, super active. Mm-hmm. But we're finding the problem that we're seeing in the Polynesian culture is the same problem that we're seeing in the rest of the U.S. Less activity, overconsumption, excess calories, bad information, fad dieting.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Becomes a real problem.
So there's no fad diets out there that work?
I mean, just by definition, being a fad diet. I mean, listen, hey, starvation works really well, but...
that's very surprising to hear, because you always, at least for me, you hear a lot of communities, kind of trendier communities. It's like, oh, we're having a garden, we're gonna be healthier, we're gonna create our own things. But I guess with the spam and the shipping in of the fried foods.
So
and
does
everything.
genetics play a big part of it? Like a big part, or it's just a small factor?
Well, I think that's interesting, because let's say you put someone who's genetically predisposed to become diabetic and you remove excess calories, excess carbohydrates from their diet, they'll probably never exhibit diabetes. But if you put someone who has a genetic propensity to have diabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, and you put them in these environmental triggers, which we live in an obesogenic environment, interesting, the Polynesian islands never used to be that way.
Right.
And I know when I used to live on Hawaii, you have to have a lot of money to be able to buy a box of cereal. I mean,
because of the shipping costs?
Yeah, it's $12.
Yeah. Right. Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Where'd you live? In
Kauai.
Kauai.
I lived in Kauai for a year, yeah.
Nice.
It's interesting because those foods are being shipped in.
Right.
Because fresh foods don't really make it. It's all the frozen fried chicken, lamb from New Zealand, really fatty cuts of meat.
So is there a correlation between, let's say, income and obesity in Polynesia because of that fact, with not being able to afford? Well, I mean, if they're planning their own food, though.
Right. That would be amazing.
I don't
think that's the problem. I think it's the little Debbies and the Twinkies and the convenience foods that were never available that are now becoming available.
So what does carbs have to do with diabetes? Does that play a part?
Well, what happens is really diabetes is excess calories, which is really the issue.
Plain. Okay.
It's not just carbohydrates. They've done studies where you can compare carbohydrate isocaloric, which means it has the same calories, a diet of all carbohydrates versus a diet with proteins. And when calories are equal, that's not the problem, right? So there's no issue either way. But it's when you have excess calories. And the fastest way to get excess calories is excess carbohydrates and excess fat.
And like you said, poi has a lot of calories.
It does. But I don't think that's the problem. But when you're consuming a ton of carbohydrates, the body loves to store glucose, right? Loves to store glucose as fat because you can only metabolize so much at one time.
And glucose is made from carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Okay.
So excess carbohydrates in caloric excess.
Too much.
Definitely makes you fat.
Right. Yeah.
But anything makes you fat. I just think that it's a lot easier to eat a bag of chips than it is to eat 5 chicken breasts. Disgusting.
I legit just ate a bag of chips before I came here.
Don't tell me that. You are the picture of health.
Yeah, that's right.
The rock underneath here. The rock doesn't eat.
Well, they were kale chips.
That's gross. Grosser. That's like insult to injury.
I know.
God, if you're gonna eat the chips, I mean.
You know what? There is a lot of people on diets.
Yeah.
You know, so let's talk real quick. If we can talk about that. I know it's kind of sidetracked, but there's two that I want to. The vegan diet.
Great.
And what was it? It's a intermittent fasting.
Okay.
I've heard a lot of those two. So can you talk about it?
Well, I've heard that you have gone
I did.
vegan,
I did it for last year for 3 months.
Wow.
And I saw great results.
3 months?
Amazing.
I thought it was
So
more.
let's talk about.
It was 3.
Okay, so 3 months. Are you short term? Vegan diet is no animal product. Right?
Correct.
And
anything with a face is what I was doing. So I was
but
hardcore.
Eggs don't have a face.
Well, anything like bees, like they create anything that
Okay.
animal
Nothing-
byproducts, nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, it was hardcore.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
it felt
amazing.
I felt great. And then
There you go.
I don't know. I just stopped.
Yeah.
I mean, we were doing an event, and I think it was the first day of the event in September. It was PIFA, and we worked really hard. So I was like, I'm gonna go have a pizza.
And that was
so
it?
and then and that was the end of it.
Okay.
I lost it all, but then I gained it. I lost probably 30 pounds.
Do you know how much fat versus muscle you lost?
No, I didn't do. I saw that documentary on Netflix. What the Health?
Okay.
And I was like, I have to stop.
You probably hear that a lot, right?
I
that
do.
documentary and everything. Have
and
you
obviously,
seen it?
yeah.
I think I've seen parts of it.
Okay.
Problem with a documentary, it's not necessarily.
It's always biased, right?
Yeah.
Well, most of them are biased. Yeah.
Listen, I'm sure the truth lies somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, definitely.
It's the answer typically is never one extreme or the other, and I'm not anti-vegan. It's not something that I was actually macrobiotic for a long time, which is more of a vegan-based. It's kind of vegan-based. It's definitely way less animal products for a long time, but my body couldn't handle it.
Okay.
So I'm not anti-vegan. Sometimes I get a lot of feedback from my own followers or people kind of dropping in saying, why don't you promote veganism, or, are you not, into that? I don't feel that way at all. So it worked for you.
Yeah, it worked for me, and it also I've heard where if you go on a plant-based diet, it it helps reduce. My sister, she was diagnosed. Sorry, Donna.
Sorry, Donna.
I'm gonna use you as an example because
you're changed her name.
Yeah, I know. That's all right.
Just,
people know my
sorry,
sister.
Susan.
I guess. I'm bad at that. One time I gave out a person's address. You remember?
Yeah.
It was bad. Anyhow, my sister, she was diagnosed with cancer, and she tried this medicine, and it was like a test medicine, and it didn't work. She didn't see any results. Then they tried a different medicine, and they said, we're going to have you go on a plant-based diet. And that's it. So she went on it, and she's in remission now.
That's amazing.
So I don't know if it's the medicine. I don't know if it's a plant-based.
Yeah.
So I was just always rooting. I got her a juicer, and I was just really rooting for her. Obviously, she's my sister. I want her to be all right. So
that's good.
That's why I thought that veganism was just such a great thing. But I guess it's just it could be a bunch of different things, right?
I think it depends on who you are. I think it really is very individual.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a scientific background, and I've studied protein and muscle metabolism for a long time. And I did a fellowship in geriatrics and obesity medicine, which means anyone over the age of 65.
Okay, right.
And what I saw is I've taken care of hundreds and hundreds of people at their deathbed that have fallen, that have broken hips. Oh, yeah. And one of the big things that I learned and when I ran a clinic is that their midlife nutrition was essential. And those that had a lower protein diet had a much more rapid decline of their muscle tissue, which is what protects them. So that's why I come from and of course muscle is your metabolic currency. The more muscle you have, the more fit you are, the better that you can manage glucose, right? For diabetes.
So the more muscle that you have, you can.
Yeah. It's
I don't know.
Anyway,
yeah.
it's the biggest site for glucose oxidation. So it's where you glucose disposal. So that
and that's just all sugars,
eating,
right?
Yeah, and also for lipid oxidation. It's another large site for lipid oxidation.
What's lipid?
Fats.
Okay.
So it's really your metabolic organ. My perspective is that the more muscle you have, the safer you are as you age. If there's any kind of massive cancer or injury that happens, you're then protected.
Oh, because muscle. Okay.
Yeah. So that's where my perspective comes from. And, everybody has an individual perspective based on their experience.
Right.
your sister had a very different experience, which changed the trajectory of what you decided to do for your health. I have a really good friend who's an orthopedic surgeon, and she's keto vegan. And she's a type 1 diabetic and does amazing.
Doesn't keto have protein in it, though?
It's not a high protein diet.
Oh, okay,
what is keto? We had a question
it's
on keto diet.
I'm not an expert on the ketogenic diet, but it's a high fat diet.
High fat?
It's high fat. Lower protein.
So that's a fat diet.
There's fad diet.
Okay. So
the ketogenic diet was originally used for seizures in children.
Yeah.
And it's over 70% fat.
Doesn't it kind of mess with your
in a good way,
your actual brain though, right?
Allegedly.
So like, I'm just thinking good fat is avocados, right?
Yeah.
Is there a lot of other ones?
I mean,
what's a high fat diet? Like, what do they eat?
They eat, well, I don't do it myself, but they eat a lot of avocado. They eat a lot of coconut oil, butter. From what I just watch.
I know from watching Joe Rogan, he's like always he's keto. At least that's what he promotes.
He does that?
Yeah, he's hardcore into it, and he's always eating elk steak.
Okay.
Like I just see him eating steak and like chilies and like peppers.
Protein.
Yeah,
but it's a lower protein diet. I think that because if you have too much protein definitely can get converted to carbohydrates. So it will kick you out of ketosis
if you have too much protein.
Yeah. So a ketogenic diet is, again, it's over 70% fat, and I'm not a ketogenic expert. It's not something that I follow. It's not something that I prescribe.
Yeah.
But it is lower protein and very, very low carbohydrates, if not any.
Right. Yeah. And I think he rarely drinks because I think that takes you out of ketosis because of the sugars and stuff. No sugar. He like keeps it to a minimum. And if he does, I think there's like shakes that you can take to help you stay in ketosis. And there's like little tabs that you can kind of check your.
I haven't seen it work very well for women. I've had a lot of treatment failures. Yeah, patients that have tried it and apparently been in ketosis based on, I guess they do urinary dipsticks. But they've all gained weight. They went through a honeymoon phase and then gained weight.
Oh, wow.
This is just my clinical experience.
No, yeah. I mean, that's...
But men tend to do better for a short period of time, and then it seems to affect their testosterone. And all guys care about is good hair and testosterone.
How does it affect their testosterone?
It lowers it.
Drops, yeah.
With keto?
Like,
from what I've seen, this is just clinical practice from the patients that I've seen.
Right.
So with the individuals that you help, do you recommend or you don't usually?
I don't use the ketogenic diet.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sure that I may circle around and eventually use it because I think that there's no right way, especially if calories are in check. I believe in a higher protein diet and more of an optimal protein diet because I think you have to protect your muscle at all costs.
That's interesting. I've never heard that the more protein that you eat, it protects you in the long run, right?
Well, it's kind of a different way to look at it, right?
Yeah, well, I think that we don't look at... I think that we have our macronutrient ratios wrong, and I think that we all focus on the problem, which is being over fat. That's what individuals think is the problem, but it's really about being under-muscled.
Oh, because everyone's trying to lose weight.
Yeah.
But they're not
It's not the right focus.
Right.
And it's not that... I think that everyone feels very emotional about protein because it has a face, like you said.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat everything without a face. When emotion comes into contact with science, there's breakdown because then everything gets confusing. We know that the average American woman has around 70 grams of protein a day. It's probably, you need a minimum of probably 100.
Oh, wow. So they're really...
To maintain muscle mass as you age.
Okay.
So we're talking about if you eat the same way you did when you were 20, you're good. I mean... At 20, you're good. But if you eat that way in your 30s and 40s, you can't. You have to evolve with the changing internal milieu of your own system.
So if you don't eat that amount of protein that your body needs, your muscle...
Over a period of time, you will not maintain the muscle tissue unless you're training like a maniac. Yeah. But over a period of time...
Like me and The Rock.
Exactly. They're out there doing bench press Mondays. But eventually, you're going to have issues. Eventually. And at whatever age that happens... protein is really the key macronutrient that people are missing because it's so emotional. Not necessarily in the bodybuilding community, which is a small community, but I would say in global health, it is the most expensive macronutrient and actually is what defines the quality of a diet.
When you say macronutrient, is that because I've heard people say, "Oh, I'm counting my macros" or something? Right. Is that the same thing?
So macro would be protein, carbohydrates, or fats.
Okay.
Some people count alcohol, but
Oh, okay. I would. Yes.
That falls into carbohydrates for me.
I kind of want to find out like a solution or things that people could do. But first, we have a bunch of questions, so I don't want to get too much. So let's start asking. Someone said, "What about rice? Is that bad?"
Nothing is bad in moderation,
Right.
but I don't eat rice. I don't recommend it to my patients.
Is it?
It's just
the
there's
carbs?
not a ton of nutrients in it. I'd much rather have a poi or a purple potato that has anthocyanins in it, because if you're going to be eating carbohydrates, there's nothing wrong with rice, first of all.
Right.
So everyone who's listening, but
All of Hawaii.
Yeah, all of Hawaii.
Guam.
You know, I lived in Hawaii for a year. I never ate rice.
Oh, you
Really?
did it?
No,
Brown rice, nothing?
no.
Quinoa.
Gross.
Wow.
No.
So what do you
I
eat?
when
What's
I
your
lived in
start
Hawaii,
food?
I hitchhiked a lot, and I ate a
back
ton
then.
of bananas,
Okay.
and
You were on the banana diet.
I was on the banana diet.
Just bananas.
Papaya.
Okay. Oh, yeah. That's
So
good.
what do you eat for
Hummus.
breakfast? You woke up, eggs and rice?
There?
Yeah.
I mean, most
Probably
people eat
fruit. No, I probably had some fruit.
How long were you out there?
A year.
A year. So for a year, you had no rice.
No, I don't eat rice now. I can't tell you the last time I had rice.
Wow.
Gross.
Really?
Who eats rice?
Oh,
Just
everybody.
kidding,
Everyone I
everybody.
know.
No, you don't eat
Yeah.
rice in my family. We eat cauliflower
it's-
rice. Why would you eat rice? But for what? Tastes so good. It tastes like cardboard and little
And
little mouse pellet.
brown
things.
rice is even worse, right? I mean, it's
Both,
a little.
They all taste terrible.
I mean, I like
Whose
brown
idea was
rice,
that
but it's just like very
anyway? No.
not flavorful.
I guess it's like a cultural thing.
But if you throw
I mean,
that-
we grew up
that-
with it, so it's hard to.
Yeah. If
I
you
get
grew
away
up with
from it? I
broccoli
don't
too,
know.
and I can't stand that. Something.
Okay,
If you-
so what would you substitute it with? Like every
Cauliflower rice. So
And-
if you can lower that excess, look at his face.
what's cauliflower
Cauliflower.
rice? Yeah, I've heard of like.
It's like rice. It's chopped up. It looks like rice. You wouldn't know the difference. We should do a taste test next time.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
that's
Everybody,
interesting.
Blindfolded.
where do you find it?
Oh, blindfolded. Dang.
So you don't know.
Yeah, that would be crazy. What if you're like, oh, this one's way better?
Exactly.
though.
Just-
Dude, that
I
would-
will not be the one who's the best cook you know. It should not be me to do it.
Well, you can't
Whoever-
really burn rice, right?
Oh
I mean,
no,
you would
I
boil-
can definitely burn it, even if it's not supposed to be cooked. We have to find someone who can do it well, and then we can blindfold both
Oh.
you guys. Has the same texture, you're not gonna know the difference.
Wow.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean,
Someone
how
could do it
that would
well.
that
I've
would
never
take
heard of it.
that would take years.
So here's the thing.
Not years. That would help people and
100%.
reduce.
So no, in all seriousness, if your culture has the highest rate of diabetes and obesity in the world,
Yeah.
it is their responsibility, whether it's cultural or not, to get rid of it. I'm not saying get rid of rice, but if you cannot be in moderation, you need to be an abstainer. So there's no middle ground. Or you need to find a substitute.
That makes sense.
Because the
That's a
culture,
compromise.
because here's
a
the deal, the
substitute.
culture will kill you. If you continue to do what is culturally acceptable over a period of time,
But-
and you already know 1 in 3 people.
But this is interesting because I think the highest group in the world that probably consumes rice is like Asia, right?
They have a huge, very high rate
Oh,
of
that
diabetes.
makes sense. Yeah.
But
then why
as
are they
thin as they are, they're
yeah,
so
they're
thin.
so thin.
But they have their rise of diabetes. They have a rise of diabetes.
Do they
Oh,
really?
do they?
Yeah,
Asians?
absolutely.
So
Chinese.
And obesity, and
So you can still have diabetes and not be obese.
yeah, you could.
I
I,
didn't-
mean,
I
they
didn't know
typically
Asians
go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
But you can look at some people, and you would not necessarily think they're obese, and they are diabetic. Absolutely.
I have a strange question.
I probably don't know the answer then.
Okay,
What is it?
I heard that people that have diabetes they smell sweet.
That's a.
That can happen, but that's usually type 1 diabetes.
But it's
Because they can't, they're spilling out urine, or they're spilling out sugar.
yeah.
What?
Crazy, right?
I've actually never smelled that myself.
Me neither. I've just heard and I'm like that's BS.
That's a fact.
He's going
I
to go
don't
in the
know if
back
it's-
and check his blood sugar. I know it.
No, I was just wondering.
Wow, I learned something. Damn.
Yeah, I don't know if that's true or not though.
I mean, I've never
Type
seen it in
1.
clinical
Like, yeah,
practice, but
okay.
yeah, it's
I'd be
supposed
like,
to be.
someone has type 1.
So this rice,
You
so
smell like
this
type
rice
1.
thing, it really.
Yeah.
So you're thinking what I tell my patients in my clinic. I do a lot of optimization in terms of body composition, maintaining muscle mass, decreasing body fat. Right.
Right.
Body fat is a real issue. I keep them to 40 grams of less or of carbohydrates per meal. That's I don't know, half a cup.
Of rice.
Yeah. So if you can have half a cup of rice and that's worth it. Great.
Wow, so
But people look
everyone's
at-
like totally overdoing it.
Oh, for
'cause
sure.
Half a cup isn't even.
It's not even
not even one meal.
I mean, it's
for-
more like
for-
I mean, you have
it's
to
like
look it
3
up.
spoons.
You'd have to look it up. So
Or
it's
three,
a fourth of it. A fourth of a cup uncooked is probably around 30 grams. Then cooked, maybe it's around half, something like that.
So if you got a family of 4,
this
only.
is very disappointing, but we're gonna have to look. I mean, we may have to look up nutrition data and get back to everyone.
No, yeah, for sure. But I mean, just to give them a ballpark.
It's a good
it's like
general
this much.
idea.
That's not much,
right? At
but
all.
the reason I think plant-based diets work so well for people for periods of time is because it's low calorie and high nutrient density.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean, I just ate. Greens and nuts and
and potato chips.
I had jalapeno potato chips.
But overall, did you cut out all the processed?
Yeah.
That's
everything.
So I mean,
it was insane. It was insane. I mean, I felt so good. I could drink. There was an app called what's the app called?
If it fits your alcohol?
No. It's I can't remember the name. But anyhow, you could type it in and see if it was vegan friendly. But I never got like a hangover, a headache, or anything. Wow. It was really weird.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
there's a really successful cardiologist who's his name is Dr. Joseph Kahn, John Kahn, I think.
K-H-K-A-H-N.
Yeah, I think it's Joel Kahn. He's a really nice guy. I can't remember his first name. But he's had begins with a J. I think it's Joe.
Okay.
Or Joel.
Just J.
Something like that.
J Kahn.
Yeah, he's awesome. I mean, he's really outspoken. And, him and I have different perspectives, but it doesn't mean that there's any kind of heat. So my whole point of bringing him up is he's had a lot of great success in terms of he's a vegan cardiologist, and he's had a ton of great success. So I think it's about finding really what works for an individual.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. So where can I find that I'm interested to try that cauliflower rice.
Trader Joe's.
Oh, really?
Any place will have it.
Really?
I think it's amazing you guys have never even heard of that.
Never heard of it. You've heard of it?
So it's
guy in the back.
It's like it's like regular rice. I mean, you cook it kind of the same, but it's made out of cauliflower.
You guys are like shocked. Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly.
Really?
See, the man in the back knows. You've now increased your fiber content, and you've decreased your carbohydrate content, and that's a way better deal.
I want everybody to go home today, and check it out. Buy some cauliflower rice.
So let's think of another big way that I saw in Kauai that we can reduce caloric intake.
Yeah.
Frigging sodas.
Ooh.
Wow.
You should not be drinking your calories. That is like 1980. If you were doing that, you were now in the 1980s and you need to have Karate Kid, Kung Fu Warrior thing. That's out. That is straight up you are drinking diabetes.
They could drink LaCroix, right?
Well, yeah. But I mean, who is drinking? Everyone's like going on like, oh man.
Yeah. No, I don't drink soda.
Really embarrassing.
I don't drink soda.
Nobody should be drinking, but when I was in Kauai, that was something that I saw a ton of. I mean, here you are on this beautiful tropical island, and you're hanging out, and you've got the pig luau, which is awesome, and everyone's dancing and all this stuff, and you're like popping open the Coca-Cola. Stop. And Gatorade's out.
Gatorades? I like those. Those ones are good.
If it is that bright of a color and you didn't have to pluck it from the earth, probably should put it back.
That's kind of yeah. Do you have like a saying that like if it
Yes, I do. I learned it from my grandmother. You want to know what it is?
Yeah.
What?
If it tastes good, spit it out.
Oh.
It's probably bad for you. I'm just kidding. Jeez, you guys are all disappointed.
I started like thinking of all the good things. I was like,
oh my God.
But it's kind of true, right?
What?
I mean, if it tastes like really good,
no,
you probably shouldn't eat it.
It depends on your taste buds. I think rice tastes terrible.
Even with the soy sauce?
Yes, just keep saying it. I'll say yes.
Furikake?
Yes, gross. But, we've really come accustomed to things that are way too processed and way too much sugar. Listen, the other thing is I know people that are very disciplined. Counting your macros, counting your calories, it all matters. Mm-hmm. And if you are capable of doing that, incredible. The majority of individuals do not have that discipline.
Yeah, I think most people don't.
And it sets people up for failure. And one of the reasons that I am so successful in my clinic is I teach people not where they're strong, but where they're weak. And if you know where you are weak, then you can become successful. But if you continue to do the same failures, just like in life, over and over again, you never become better. Mm-hmm. To think that failure is going to be different, or that temptation, or that error in your thinking, or that error in your processing is going to be different tomorrow, if you don't fix it today, no way.
No change.
So you don't wait for tomorrow to fix it. You have to know where you fail, You have to know your patterns, and you have to expose and exploit those to become better.
So is that what you do in your practice?
I do.
People come with,
I
diseases
do.
or illnesses. And
Yes.
then
I have a few major parts of my practice. I see elite military, right? SEALs, some other individuals, groups like that. And their minds, they're already ready. It's like, hey, doc, what do I need to do?
Oh, right.
Here's what you need to
because
do.
they're so disciplined?
Here's your plan. There's no question. It is, I will execute, and that is it.
The SEALs are like top physical form, right?
Elite,
They're
right?
elite.
Don't tell them that.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
what do they really have to change?
I mean, everyone is human.
They're like robots for sure, machines.
They are.
They're machines.
They are machines. The elite, the SEALs, Green Berets, Johnny, I love you. They are machines, but
mentally and like
Yes.
just everything.
so let's go rather than focus on what their specific thing is. I can tell you their mentality. They execute. I say, okay, here's our plan. This is what you need to do. They usually execute, and then they get it done. So that's one group. So when I exploit where their weaknesses are, it might be, no, you cannot have 10 cups of coffee. I'm sorry, homeless
Oh,
place.
so they tell you their habits and everything.
I'm going to go through everything.
Okay.
If you're sitting down and you're tacking away at 1:30, we have an issue.
That's a diuretic, though.
Well, it's a lot of things, like a heart-exploding stimulant. 10 cups of coffee, especially when they're 16 ounces.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're 200.
You said moderation, right? Moderation.
Yeah, I mean, if you can manage it, yes. So the other group that I deal with, so that's one group.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do a lot of body composition optimization. So whether it's hormones or energy, fatigue, performance, that's another huge part of my practice. And with that, if those individuals, so you take out the elite operators, whether it's a professional athlete, it's kind of like then everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I always exploit where they're weak, all of them.
You'll
My patients
know.
come to
Yeah.
me not because they want to be enabled, but they come to me because they want to leave capable.
Yeah.
And I'm in it with them. I love my people. But we do it together. It's not, oh, I'm so sorry you had such a hard day. It's okay that you ate that bag of cookies. No, mother.
Yeah.
Like, you're not coming in here and we're talking about that.
Right.
That will forever make you enabled and you will never get better. And what I find is that my patients get better physically and it trickles down to everything in their life. Like the patients that have never been able to lose weight for 20 years, they come in, we figure it out. I'm not just a natural doctor, right? I do integrative medicine, but I take the best of Western and then I take the best of alternative and I combine them. So the severity of the treatment has to match the severity of the illness that we're dealing with. Mm-hmm. If you have been overweight for 20 years, I'm not going to give you, here's some little sprinkle, some fairy dust, and you're going to be fine.
Right.
That's not going to cut it.
You got to break it down.
No. Here's your nutrition. Here's your training. You're going to do resistance training. Here's the drugs that we're going to use. And here's the natural remedies we're going to use. You've been struggling for 20 years. Let's get you out of struggling within 4 weeks.
Wow.
Right?
Do you ever have
the job done.
Do you ever have people that come in that want that magic dust or a pill or
No. I mean, no. Here's what they come in.
They don't seek you, right?
They don't. I'm not that. So every practitioner you will find, just like every tattoo artist, it's a certain kind of person that is coming in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah.
That wants what
putting.
you have to offer.
Exactly. Okay.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Your clientele are, a certain kind of person that says, hey, like this is what I want. My patients come in, and I have a very frank conversation with them. I'll know right away. I mean, 98% of the patients are in it to win it. They will sit down, and we're ready to rock.
Yeah.
Maybe a few percent, maybe 2 out of 100 will be like, well, I don't know if I can do this. I'll say, listen, it's been really great to meet you.
Yeah.
This has been a great first visit. Before we continue any longer, let me tell you what my expectations of you are. If you, within 10 minutes, you can just tell it's just not a match, then I say, we're just not a good match.
Right.
So it's not a good match.
It's good. I mean, it's
you want your provider to be in it with you. You want it to be a partnership.
Yeah. Definitely.
All right, so we have some questions.
How's that for a rampage?
That's good.
That's good.
You learning a lot. So Dawn asks, is powdered protein whey bad for your kidney function?
No, they actually just came out with a huge study. It's on my. They can find it on my Instagram. I posted it.
Okay.
I reposted it, and that's a myth.
What's your Instagram?
Dr. Gabrielle Lyon.
At Dr. Gabrielle Lyon.
It's probably now a couple swear words, but we'll just call her right now. It's at Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. And I posted the study. I think Stu Phillips did it. He's a great researcher for people that don't know. And it completely debunked the fact that protein was bad for your kidneys. It's also bad. It's a myth that it's bad for your bones as well.
The whey protein?
Any protein.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Whey protein, milk protein.
Yeah.
Whatever kind of protein, whatever kind of pea you want to throw in there.
That's funny.
All right, what else we got? Do you believe that when you are leaner, you're more anabolic?
No.
So you would build more muscle in some cases in intermittent fasting?
So let me break that down. I think I understand the question.
Mm-hmm.
If you are leaner, are you more anabolic? No. But what I will tell you, what I've seen, is that if you have extra body fat, you are definitely more inflamed. For whatever reason, and a guy, Nicholas Bird, just published a study, and it showed that individuals that are obese have a higher rate of inflammation, and it takes more exercise for them to be able to build the same amount of muscle. They have what is essentially kind of an anabolic resistance in their, the same kind of tissue that you would almost see as an older person. That's how I interpreted it.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really interesting.
That is
so if you are leaner, it's possible that you are less inflamed. And we know inflammation, for whatever reason, what I've seen in my practice definitely contributes to a difficult time building muscle.
Okay.
Because any kind of inflammatory cascade can be catabolic.
Interesting.
So this intermittent fasting, how does that even work, first off?
So intermittent fasting is starting to show a lot of good science, and there's a lot of good health benefits. Just starting to look into the data. And what that is where there's a couple different ways in which an individual can fast. I think what you were talking about was, are you talking about a 5-day fast? There's that 5-day fasting mimicking diet. So that's one way to do it. Okay. Negative. Houston.
No, negative.
No,
That. No, yeah. Okay.
Okay. And then intermittent fasting is where you have it's actually time restricted feeding. And that's where you eat in an 8 to 9 hour window.
Right. Like, that's the only time you eat,
so
then you don't eat.
So for my patients, when I use that a lot with individuals that are leptin resistant, which means that it's just really hard for them to lose body fat. They are the people that have been on an 800 calorie diet and they can't lose weight. You know, those people, they've tried everything. Yeah. They're eating this, this, and they gain weight. Can't even digest that, but those people do really well with a intermittent fasting type of style. And so what I do in my clinic is I'll feed them, start them at 10, have them eat from 10 and end by 6 p.m.
Okay.
Or noon to 8 or 11 to 7.
Okay.
Does it matter how much they eat? I mean, do they have to be on a diet on that too, as far as low calories?
So the data suggests that calories always matter. Right? So there's no free lunch or free rice or whatever you want to have. Right? If it's free, you probably shouldn't eat it. Right? It's like pizza. So calories always matter. But what they found is that if you have the same amount of calories that you eat over your whole day, and let's say you decide to restrict your feeding window from 12 to 8.
Okay.
The data shows that you will lose weight just by restricting that feeding window.
So if you're on a 20 or 3,000 calorie,
exactly the same.
Yeah, 3,000 calorie diet, and you're just,
and then you just restrict it. Data shows you lose weight.
Well, because you're burning when you sleep or when you're not eating. You're still burning.
You're always burning. So
right.
it's a 24-hour period, right?
Yeah.
Which is why it doesn't really matter how many times you eat. But then again, when you think about muscle, you have to eat a certain amount to kind of get that stimulus going.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of success in my clinic with time-restricted feeding. Number one, if people have kind of an eating disorder or disordered eating and they love to snack and feed, again, they're over-consuming calories over a period of time.
Right.
By restricting that window, you take their mind off it. They've got to figure something else to do. Underwater basket weaving, crocheting, tattooing, you name it.
They're allowed to drink water and have coffee, though, right?
Coffee isn't technically fasting, but I let my patients do it.
Okay.
Doesn't mean it's right, but they get good results.
Okay.
They get great results.
Yeah.
I would say, it was really easy for you to pick up veganism from not being vegan. I would try intermittent fasting.
I did, and then I liked having beer, like, when I got home. Like
already fired as my patient.
I know. I know.
It wouldn't work.
But I've quit drinking, too, for a while. Like, I did a 6-month time where I quit drinking, or, like, 3 months. But I'm not at that mindset to just want to do it right now. maybe January, but that's silly.
That's silly. Don't wait.
It is. What did I listen? I listened to something today that said, like, don't wait. Just do it now.
You should do it now. But you always have to, so you've already, this is interesting. So if you're my patient, I would say you've gone through cycles where you've done this already. Where is that kink in your armor that you fall back? So I would find out where that is, and then we'd exploit that, and you wouldn't do it again.
Okay.
Because, right, you go in cycles.
Yeah, definitely.
So you're good for 3 months, good for 6 months, and you totally fall off the wagon.
Yep.
I'd want to know where is that kind of kink.
That's good. I have to think about that.
Okay.
No charge.
We have a lot of questions. Well, Joe said, he asked, thoughts on protein-sparing modified fasting?
Great. I love that. Protein-sparing modified fast. That's a great.
And he used to be
an MMA fighter. We had him on the show here.
That actually works really well for weight loss. So a protein-sparing modified fast has been used in hospitals for a really long time for extreme obesity. And it is almost 100% protein. And it's a very low-calorie diet. It's between 800 and 1,200. And you can actually Google protein-sparing modified fast. You can Google it, and you can find out template. I think Hopkins has one. And it's very low fat as well. It works phenomenal.
I never heard of it.
Yeah.
It's almost all protein.
That's cool.
I've done it many times.
What's the best source of protein? Someone asked too.
Depends if you're vegan or if you're an animal eater. I think lean ground beef is phenomenal. Eggs has a full spectrum of amino acids, if you can tolerate those. Fish has a little less protein than beef.
Okay.
Right? So the tissue is different.
Mm-hmm.
Whey protein is excellent if you're not sensitive to it.
Oh, the supplement?
Yeah.
Just
I mean, I like to eat my food, so I'm not crazy about whey. But if you're vegan, there's rice pea blends that work really well, that have the amino acids necessary.
Interesting.
Yeah.
What about the meal replacements? Those
Great.
are those the shakes or whatever?
If you like, there's a company called Ample. A lot of the military use Ample, and you can get it dairy or non-dairy.
Mm-hmm.
I know my sister used it in pregnancy.
Oh, really?
She's like, these are the best. Yeah.
And they're not bad. I mean, I had one. I think it was a vegan one.
Who cares what it tastes like? Hold your nose, drink it. Doesn't matter.
It looked like mud.
Perfect.
Perfect.
It was
amazing. You won't be tempted to have 5 of them.
I know, right?
You'll be like, this is terrible. Yeah. All about calorie control.
Yeah, that's true.
That's good.
I'm interested about that. What is it? Protein sparing?
Protein sparing modified fast.
All these words.
It's actually, so it should be done under the supervision of a physician.
Oh, okay.
It is
I know.
hard
There's a guy in the back that. No, I'm just kidding.
Did he get his degree from Phoenix Online?
Yeah.
It doesn't count. If they got it there and it came in the mail, it doesn't count.
That's awesome.
You had to pay for it.
Funny.
So actually it works phenomenal, and I've done it with some of my patients. They got to be really hardcore. But so protein is the most satiating macronutrient, means it satisfies your appetite the most.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
People always say that it's fat. It's not. So protein, there are protein receptors in the brain. There are leucine receptors in the brain. There are all kind of hunger hormones that help regulate exactly hunger that are secreted based on protein.
But you said 8 to 1,200 calories, or
800.
800 to 1,200.
Oh, you mean the protein?
Protein, yeah.
Yes.
That's all you're allowed to eat
for the protein sparing modified fast.
For the whole day?
Yeah, that doesn't seem like a lot.
That's why it's called a fast.
Oh God.
That's plenty.
Yeah.
You'd be fine.
Really?
Yes. You guys should do a challenge. It's so fun. It's great because here's the thing. You need to
should.
totally shift that. It's all about a challenge. You got that.
This guy is unbelievable when it comes to he's like a.
What? Tell me. I'm all like, unbelievable.
What? Yeah,
what?
like what? No, like he's like I can't say he's a SEAL because he's like a SEAL, but he's like a robot. His like mentality is just.
I agree.
It's insane. So there's no way I can
Yes.
be. Yeah, you're an executor.
So you can also.
Well, maybe not executor, but like.
I think that's totally right. He could totally do it. He doesn't have to eat. He's like a machine.
He never
challenge.
eats.
We need a challenge
You
because
do.
I need to get on it. I do for sure. So challenge
insane.
sounds good.
Yeah.
You guys should do a challenge in the studio.
I challenge that I won't be back.
Yeah.
You won't what?
Missing.
Oh yeah, I won't be back. I'll be missing it.
Okay, so Don asks, other than exercise, that I hate reading these questions because it's
You pick some good ones.
what can you do to naturally boost your testosterone?
Sleep.
Oh, really?
Good answer.
Yes.
Naturally?
How do you think I get my guys to sleep? Hey, you want to have good tea and hair? Yeah, doc. What do I got to do? Go to sleep. They're like,
And it boosts it.
Amazing. Yeah. You're in bed by 9:30.
But it works.
Of course
That's
it
true.
works.
Really?
Yeah, seal in the back over there's got thumbs up.
Oh,
See?
thumbs up.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
Yes.
We got a seal in the studio today, and I'm gonna
the
challenge him to a knife fight later.
You
I'll
will
record
not
it.
win that.
I'll
You do
record
not
it.
win
I'm just
that.
kidding. I'm totally
We
teasing
went.
you.
I will tell you. We
Live.
went. So we like to do a lot of active stuff, and we went. Like a ton of stuff, climbing and archery, and I did beat him in archery, and I did. So it's great because he can't talk and doesn't have a microphone. I did beat him swimming one
You know,
time.
everything.
One time? Are you
One
kidding?
time he had
They have
bilateral
that-
foot cramps and
Swimming.
just eaten, but it doesn't matter.
Oh, because they have there's like a Navy swim, right? It's like sideways and
man.
just like a what? Not true.
Seals, man, they like they hog tie and throw them in the ocean, you know, and they gotta like make it back 2 miles.
Yeah, I beat him in
They
archery.
do all kinds of stuff.
I
That's
did.
impressive.
We had a shootout. I know.
Like,
He's probably not going to talk to me for at least an hour.
oh my god.
He's all like,
2 hours. 2 hours.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's good.
Yeah.
Was it one shot that you beat him on?
Like under pressure. No, it was a shootout with balloons and stuff.
that sounds fun, actually.
he really wants to get on the mic. He's
Yeah.
just like he wants to
Nope.
have a rebuttal. Like, that's awesome. That's great.
Okay, so Don asked, do you lift during the eating window or the non-eating window when you
Whatever
do
you want to. So that's a
It's
great
okay?
question. I don't think that. I mean, I can only tell you my personal experience. I can't tell you any scientific evidence. But if it were me, fasting is catabolic. I would lift in the non-eating window.
Really?
But there's no. I mean,
But don't you have to?
that's semi-bro science. I don't have anything to
Yeah,
back
yeah.
that up. But
I was gonna say.
But I will tell you that fasting in general is a catabolic experience when you're not eating.
What's
So,
catabolic?
It means it breaks down tissue. And the whole point is you want to maintain muscle tissue. What I would do is I would lift weights in the non-eating window. So I'm stimulating my tissue in another way other than just eating.
But to rebuild muscle, don't you have to eat protein or
You
have
do,
protein?
exactly.
And normally
you're-
right after you work out, right?
Doesn't really matter. If you're older, it matters.
Well, Don's like 75, so sorry, Don.
That matters.
Just
But
teasing, he's not.
if you're young, it doesn't necessarily matter.
Right.
I think intuitively we would think that the sooner you eat after, the better. But really, it is based on this 24-hour period.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so
Maybe
that
wake up early and work out because
Yeah.
you're going to hit your 8 o'clock or something when you start eating.
well,
Yeah.
10 or 12 to
Or
8.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Okay, that makes sense.
The most successful vegan and vegetarians I've ever seen train because they stimulate their tissue other than just eating protein.
Okay.
So there are multiple ways to kind of skin a cat, as they say.
Mm-hmm. I was blown away when I was doing that whole vegan thing that I saw a lot of triathletes,
Yeah.
bodybuilders that were vegan.
Okay.
So
That were vegan.
That are drug free.
The
So there's a difference here.
There is.
And I don't know. I don't care
I
either
don't know.
way.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
care either way. But I think it's important to definitely. I think when individuals talk, it's important to have integrity. I think that when it's an individual's opinion, a lot of times I'll say I don't know or
Right.
it's my opinion.
Right.
I mean,
Well, it was just I didn't
Yeah.
obviously do any specific research
Yeah.
on it. I just saw and it's like, oh, this person's
Right.
vegan. He's a triathlete, and I'm like, oh, that's impressive.
but I will tell you what's interesting is that individuals will gravitate to what works best for their body, and when they find that thing, whatever that is, they do phenomenal. Like I was telling you about my friend who is a keto vegan, and she is super athletic, and I mean, she tried a whole bunch of other things. So if you find exactly what your sister
Yeah.
found, exactly what worked for her,
Yeah. So, what makes it like a fad diet, and what makes it?
something you stick to.
Oh,
So I've been high protein forever. My
Okay.
patients that I've seen, high protein for, I don't even want to say high protein. It should be optimal protein. You know?
yeah.
And then I think you have to look at where a person came from. I bet you if the Polynesians would go back to eating the way that they used to,
Yeah.
changing up their ratios, so they're not working on the farm, they're not going on the boats as much as they used to. They should probably scale back on the bananas and the poi and the taro root and increase their protein, right? Increase their fish consumption and be a little bit more active. So I'm not asking them to change what they're eating. I'm asking them to change the macronutrients, the percentage of what they're eating.
Okay.
I think that there's ways in which they can be successful. And you don't even have to give up your rice if you do it right.
Yeah. Right.
So just smaller portions.
Smaller
is what
portions.
you're saying.
No, changing. So rather than focusing on, So typically, when I lived on Kauai, what I saw is that here's your poi, here's your, I don't know.
Kalua pig?
Yeah.
Fish.
Like, so the pig was like this much. Wasn't that much.
Yeah.
Or the meat or the fish wasn't that much because it's more labor intensive. It used to be roasted pineapple, poi, I don't know, breadfruit, all this other stuff, and then like a tiny little piece of fish. I would totally switch that up. I would say, you don't really have a ton of greens on the island because it's more tropical. I mean, I remember when I used to go to the store, it was to get a thing of lettuce, it was, I don't know, $10. Right? So
Who needs lettuce?
Exactly. It's green. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
So rather than doing that, just switch it up where they have more of their fish or more of the pork. They have a lot of eggs. Focus on that. And then having maybe one small portion of a carbohydrate. And then having that maybe before or after they work out. But really kind of just reframing and rethinking. I think it would be so beneficial for your community and your culture. So it's not asking them to change. And then also be very aware. They shouldn't be having this stuff out of the packages or the chips.
Right,
No.
the processed stuff is...
I think that one of the things that I love about the Polynesian culture is they're very proud. And proud of their culture and proud of their lineage and their ancestry. Mm-hmm. So I think that by becoming empowered and remembering what that is and going back to that and then maybe updating the way in which they eat for the now current society, they could make tremendous changes and they would also be protected, right? Because with diabetes and obesity comes depression. There's a high drinking rate, high suicide rate in the islands and, drinking and fighting and drugs, more so now than ever before. And
I just always thought that was part of the fighting is part of the culture, though, isn't it? Like the scrapping or whatever. I don't know.
But
it's like
the
they're tough.
And
that depression and the suicide stuff is
and the alcohol is high.
Alcoholism, yeah.
So I think really taking charge of that.
It all plays into it. What did Joe say? Do you use low dose naltrexone to curb cravings / emotional eating?
I do use it in my practice.
What is that?
Low dose naltrexone. Naltrexone is a drug they used to use for alcoholism and drug abuse. And in a high dose, it can make people really sick. But in what they found is that it's kind of a novel anti-inflammatory. And I think that there are multiple ways in which it works. And one of the ways that it does is it definitely works on receptors in the brain. And it works systemically for lowering inflammation. And it has been, for whatever reason, to work with individuals who have overeating. You give it to them at night. It also has been really good for any kind of inflammation, gut inflammation, multiple sclerosis, any kind of autoimmune.
Sounds like a diet in itself.
It's a pill. It's not a magic pill. So here's the rub. Are you ready for it?
You get diarrhea.
You turn into a woman. No.
Hey!
Here's the rub, right? You have to be a responder. With these drugs, we're starting to be able to snip test and understand who is a responder and who's not. If low-dose naltrexone works great for you, your genetics might enable it to work for you and not him.
Right.
So you don't know.
And this is all doctor-prescribed stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do not buy it on the internet. That would be weird. So you might as well cancel that
remove
purchase
it from
right
my cart.
now. Cancel that.
Yeah.
But that's definitely a drug that is used very well. Can work really well.
Is turmeric and apple cider vinegar good for you? Turmeric?
I'm sure if you got it in high enough doses, definitely won't hurt you. Turmeric has been used. I think that they've used it in India for a long time. The thing is that they've used it in low doses over a lifetime.
Okay.
So I think if you use things short term, it doesn't have an effect. But if you're consistent and you use it over a long period of time, and again, you have to be a responder.
I'm sorry. I just read, so you can't drink with that low dose thing.
So actually,
Joe, the same
Right.
person I asked about it, he's
Right.
like, you can't drink. Is it just not recommended, or you said
it's not recommended, but it's a much lower dose. So if the dose is 200 milligrams, the low dose naltrexone is 1.5 milligrams. So essentially, you could drink, but if you're wanting to lose body weight and be healthy, you shouldn't be drinking, Joe.
Yeah.
What's the deal?
Yeah. No, he's pretty lean. I think he's
Probably
pretty.
talking to you, James.
Yeah, I think so. I think that was
tell that
directed to me because I'm like, oh, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And he's like, you
really
can't
well
drink.
For people. It's worked really well for individuals.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. but sounds.
You know what
like
works
a
really
magic
well
pill.
for individuals that have eating disorders and emotional eating is a higher protein diet. Because again,
Will it just make you full?
Yeah, it's a building block of neurotransmitters.
Oh,
So it
that's
too.
all.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
tends to really balance individuals out. This is again, I don't have any data to show you this, but I can tell you from
You could tell.
from seeing hundreds and hundreds of patients.
Yeah.
If not more than that, probably a couple thousand over my period, that it really helps.
That's good to know. I mean, so basically just protein. I mean, high protein diet.
Well, I think
good.
we have to understand. I think it now becomes optimal protein. I think that it's not that protein is magic, but everyone is eating carbohydrates. So wherever you go, it's so easy to get carbs.
Oh,
so I think that it's about reframing our consumption quality, and just being very aware consumers.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't help that, Jack in the Box is right on the corner, and it's like, oh, I'm running late. Let me go get 2 tacos.
It's cheaper.
And it's cheaper. It's like $1 as opposed to going to Trader Joe's and getting like a
just for fast food.
And then I think that's where you come into problems when you saw that thing, What the Health, and I guess they have, what is it? But, animal cruelty. I think that when you're looking at those kinds of places, I would never eat protein or meat from that.
Right.
I don't know how they manage those animals, treat those animals, any of that stuff.
Right. Right. Yeah, their big argument was that some of the proteins and stuff caused cancer because of how they.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Yeah,
that was their. I've never seen that to be true.
That was their big thing.
And I don't think anyone's ever seen that to be true. I think that you have to. I think that is probably epidemiological data, and I think that you have to be able to say, was that person smoking and drinking, and eating packaged foods?
Yeah,
probably. And was the meat processed with nitrates? But I think head to head, what they found is that when you add high quality protein to foods, you have better body composition, better improvement in blood sugar, lower inflammatory markers. Wow. You have those kinds of things. So I think, again, it becomes very emotional for people. Mm-hmm. And I think at the end of the day, it's about finding what works for you, but also knowing what doesn't. So if you've done the same thing over and over again, then, baby, that's not working.
Right.
You know? Like, it's time to...
Bad habits, probably.
Yeah, just but, if you...
Same cycle.
Yeah, just... gotta try something new.
Yeah.
All right.
So your practice is in New York?
It is. New York City.
Do you have anywhere that people, if anyone has questions? We have a lot of questions here.
They can find me on Instagram at Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. I'm really good at, I try to do the best I can. I will respond to everybody. And either I'll send them a video message or I will answer the question live or do a video live. And I'm really happy to help. They can come to see me in my practice in New York, or they can find me on social media. They can download my free protocol. I have a free protocol on my website. Actually, that would be really great for people to download.
On your website?
drgabriellelyon.com.
Okay. And we'll put this in the details or whatever. Description.
That's awesome. Yeah, in the description.
Okay, so...
Do you do live Q? You said you do live Q&A? That's awesome.
And that's in the...
every Wednesday at some time whenever they yell at me that I need to do it.
So
Ron, I have the best intern in the world. He's probably going to graduate from intern and just take over my company and help me with everything. But he tells me when I'm supposed to do stuff. So I think that on Wednesdays at a certain time, which I should probably know.
Yeah, so follow Dr. Gabrielle Lyon on Instagram. So you go live every Wednesday?
Yes.
If sometimes.
It is Wednesday,
if you can.
Today's Tuesday.
Right. It's not today. But we're doing this now because we wanted to share with my people, you guys, because, I mean, the work that you did for me is amazing. The work that you've done for the people around me is amazing. So.
Yeah, could we talk about that? Yeah. So you came to IslandTAT and you wanted your IslandTAT.
I wanted, I thought this was going to be Hello Kitty.
Stop it.
We changed it up a bit.
Yeah.
I fell asleep.
You woke up and you had this.
Can you tell everyone like why you wanted a Polynesian tattoo?
Yes. So I've been following. I love Polynesian culture, and
me too.
Really?
I'm not Polynesian, or I'm not. Yeah.
I love Polynesian culture and I love the storytelling. And I had wanted a Polynesian tattoo for years, and I had never done it. And I had gone through a series of transitions in my life. I got divorced. I had financial changes, all kinds of things. I had a loss, just all these things. And at the tail end of that, I said, you know what? It's time. I want my tattoo. And I knew that in traditional Polynesian, they choose the tattoo for you, that it tells a story. And that's what I wanted.
How did you find Josh?
I wanted the best. He paid me $5.
I love it.
It's going up to 10 now.
Yeah.
So I wanted the best, and I researched a whole bunch, and he's the best.
That's awesome.
And his style was great. His vibe was great. His work ethic was great. And it was a match.
That's amazing.
Wow, appreciate
Look at that. That's nice.
And I've sent many people to him now.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. No, and thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah.
That was so. I mean, it's hard to do a show when you're learning, because you have to ask questions.
No,
and
it's
I'm
good.
Like, oh, okay,
I would love to do it
That's
again.
good.
I would love to every time I'm in town, which is frequent. I would love to, maybe they can send questions to me in advance.
Yeah.
And
that'd be cool. There you guys.
That,
you guys can hear that.
Joe Duarte, he said he's a partner and investor in the largest telemedicine weight loss company in the U.S. and she, as in you, knows her stuff. So he's like, respect.
Much respect. You guys
Much
hit
respect.
a home run.
Hit a home run.
Guest, that's what he said.
Nice.
Yeah,
I
good.
also paid him. It's on my Venmo.
That's awesome.
Pay you later.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, thanks. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. And yeah, if you ever make it down this way again,
We know. Are you
will.
kidding?
You will.
Yeah.
I gave up my spot to somebody else.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's true.
So I will be coming. I'm waiting to have the rest of my sleeve done.
All right.
Nice.
So everyone will be able to watch it.
Yeah, right?
Progression as the years go by.
I have a question.
That'll be cool.
Because I get a lot of flack for it. Is this okay for you?
I think probably everything is okay in moderation. If you were to ask me if I would eat it,
Yeah.
I probably would not eat that.
How about stevia?
What is that?
Yes.
This is Splenda. I'm asking about Splenda.
So it's probably fine. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that anyone's ever said, oh my gosh, it's fine. It's an issue, but, I mean.
Like stevia is like a natural one. Is
I
that one
think
okay?
I think that anything yes. I think that if I were to give you my personal opinion, I probably would not eat that. If I were to tell you what I would personally eat, I would probably do stevia.
Okay.
And then the next step in that would be, why do you want something sweet? I would completely break that habit.
It's just to go with my coffee. I took the milk out.
I'm just saying.
I'm just wondering. No, I'm just wondering.
Like,
okay.
drop the hammer
Execute.
over here.
Yeah, no, it's execute. Okay, damn it. Okay, no more Splenda. I gotta get rid of that handful
I mean, you
that I
don't
took.
have to, but I mean,
No, it's cool. I had an argument, not an argument, but kind of like a debate. That I thought it was stevia and the other products like them were okay.
Stevia's been around for a lot longer probably than any human has. So, I mean, it's probably okay. I haven't seen anything negative about it.
Mm-hmm.
Splenda, probably in small doses, is fine.
Yeah, I only use
Not
like
mine.
half a box.
No.
Really. It's not a big deal.
He's in the back.
I know, just like
Takes a
What's
big
that
ol'
white powder on your face?
it's just like what?
I love this stuff.
Splenda, I'm sure.
Dang, she figured me out, guys.
No charge.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks. You guys, if you please follow at Dr. Gabrielle Lyon on Instagram. If you guys have any questions, you can message us or follow her, and then she goes on Wednesdays.
Wednesdays,
whenever
time.
she can.
Yeah, I'll put my.
But just follow her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll see all your good stuff on there. I mean, you have so much information.
It would be great to really help your community to put together a breakdown, and I will get this done. Ron, are you listening? We will get this done. It'd be so great to put together the carbohydrates that are typical in the Polynesian diet, and then kind of break it out in a chart and show you exactly how much is in it.
Wow.
I think that would be really great for
Yeah.
the community.
Yeah, definitely.
And give them kind of serving sizes about what would probably be beneficial over the whole day versus at one meal.
Yeah, because there's nothing
would
out
be
there
good.
like that. I mean,
I
I'm
think
sure
that'd be really
individuals
helpful.
have probably tried to do it, but
No, for the show, I was looking.
Yeah, I
I
think
was
it'd be really
looking so
helpful.
much, and I couldn't find like what
Yeah.
the normal Polynesian diet is
Yeah.
as far as like why there's so much diabetes
Yeah.
and obesity.
I
I
think
can only
right.
find that article, so that would
Yeah.
if it, I'm sure it's out there, but it's hard to find.
No,
So,
no, I could put together a chart.
That would be great.
I think that would be helpful. And, I think that you mix genetics with the wrong diet, and it's kind of like a time bomb.
yeah. Okay, one more thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
I also heard I don't have any facts, but I heard that if this could be
no,
silly.
it's okay.
I don't know.
I heard that too. What?
If like say you're in good shape,
Yes.
and then you kind of let yourself go,
Yes.
and you become obese, and then you
Yes.
have a child.
Yes.
Do you transfer some sort of extra gene or chromosome to them that makes them become or like be more prone to be obese?
So I don't know the exact data, but I will tell you from some of the things that I've read, the more fit you are in pregnancy, the better your habits are, the more likely your child or your offspring will take on those characteristics.
Okay. I heard something that I don't know if it's an extra gene or chromosome, but it's something that transfers.
Part I don't know, but definitely the environmental milieu within the body, the healthier you are or the healthier an individual is in pregnancy, for sure.
Okay.
The fitter you are,
You kind of pass it along.
Yeah.
Same with anxiety. Same with the negative traits as well as the positive traits. So if, they say that when women are very anxious, that their child, it creates kind of an environment of anxiety, whether it's nature versus nurture. I don't know. This is my opinion, but I know that I'm sure we'll hear more about this as time goes on.
It kind of makes sense, though.
Yeah.
Because it's all connected. So.
But I never thought that obesity could potentially be hereditary. And from what I heard, it sounded like if you're not taking care of yourself, then you're totally going to pass it on to your child.
I mean, definitely parts of that. I mean, you never see superhuman come out of someone who's, it's just, whether it's nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
I'm going to come back as a rocks kid next time. That would be really weird. But it wasn't really weird. That's fine.
It's fine.
All right, anything else,
awesome.
James?
I think that's it. Do you have any final?
No, thanks. I think that the work that you guys do is amazing, and I'm so grateful to have found you, and you guys do an amazing job.
Thank you, and thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on. Let me bother you with these questions.
They're great.
Thanks. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week, Tuesday, 6:30. See you then.